Hi, hi, and welcome back to Chai with Shay. It's been a while. It's been a while that I have allowed myself to just sit and have this conversation with myself and uh, and to remind myself of why am I even doing this? Kind of like a video journal. I think that's what I have learned, that me talking on YouTube and this entire Chai with Shay series has been a video journal where I am having a conversation like I always. So I put this mirror today to show you how I do it. So I always have my laptop and this is my mat on which I would practice handstands. So I would fall and it would save me. And lately, I just didn't know what to do with it. So I made it a background for now. We'll come back to this story. And then I have my iPhone, which kind of every time I start the video on my laptop, it connects to my iPhone. I have no idea why, how. But one day it started working. I think there's a setting that you turn on. And then since then, I just started using my phone as a camera. So I don't have to buy a camera right now. And this is my mic. And this kind of becomes like everything around me that you're seeing is right now a time capsule of this is what is relevant in my life right now, or the things that are kind of coming up in my life at this moment. So some of these could be, past threads that I'm tagging along, like this one I started making it in 2021 when my dad was in the hospital for COVID. And there was a possibility that I could lose him. So I started making this, but then I didn't finish it. Like it was half done as soon as he got better, because I think like I was kind of trying to deal with my pain of being away from them by painting it. And once he got better, I got busy with other problems in my life. And so I finished it this time. And I came here kind of. There's a different story behind that one. But these are, things that was started by the past me, but now the present me is kind of taking it and closing its loop and kind of releasing it out to the world. And we'll come back to this story as well. So these videos become kind of like a time capsule of who I am and who I evolve over time. Like I'm not trying to make it be something. I'm not trying to be a certain person. I'm just trying to be 100% me at this present moment, having a conversation with the present me. And then, kind of having fun with what's going on with life. And so I found, like, as I look back at the videos that I have in my YouTube for this entire time, also how my thinking evolves, or how I maybe sometimes challenge myself, or how I become more of me, but I start uncovering different words and feelings to associate something that feels abstract. You give it more words to be able to articulate it better, and how that evolves over time. So it becomes really interesting. Like I feel like this is kind of like a video journaling experiment. And just like you would make a journal like this, and then everyone has a different style of journaling. Like I've recently started getting a lot of my algorithm on Instagram is showing me a lot of these journaling ways to do this and that, and everyone's journal is like so unique and so beautiful. And I think I really love how it shows kind of who you are, and it reflects outwards. So I don't know if you can see, but there are lots of journals there, and also underneath here. These are all my journals from the past 10 years, I would say, at this point, because the latest one I have here is the one from 2011, 2012. And that one and I didn't even finish it straight for the entire university. I wasn't much of a journaler at that point, but now I do. And since 2020, I've been very consistent, and I have so many now. But even my writing on the journal has evolved over time, like the way I'm feeling, the way because it's coming through me, and that's why I prefer, and I really love the experience of journaling with pen and paper. Like I do enjoy video journaling, like for example, this one that I just recently started doing, but also the voice journaling I do on my iPhone, or sometimes I would do, also typing on computer. But I have learned, that they in the book Big Magic, I think it's Liz Gilbert, the lady from who did the Eat, Pray, Love. So she talks about how sometimes these ideas come to you like magic, and the way come out of you, it's like you have to really create an environment around you for the ideas to literally come out of you. Sometimes when it really feels like, I don't know where it's coming from, there's something else guiding that flow of music or movement. And that's why when in intuitive movement and random movements, there comes a point when you don't really know what you're doing, but something within you is guiding that movement. And I feel I like to think about creativity and the stream of consciousness journaling to be kind of connected, because it sometimes you connect dots in that stream of consciousness that you would have never thought about before. So even with this, right now what I'm doing is I'm practicing a different skill, kind of like because, I think especially as women, as we grow older, our throat chakra gets blocked. And and a lot of us also have thyroid issues. And if you go back to this whole, I was reading about it, how it might also be related, how we don't exercise our free right of speech. And, you see a baby, and baby is always like communicating her needs. But as you grow older and you assimilate in the society, we start trying to be more aware of other people's need, and we don't voice our needs as much. So our voice gets blocked. So this me practicing and not filtering myself, and honestly, not really even preparing any script, because anything that I prepare is going to be, I'm trying to follow something, and I really want it to be at this point, at this time, in this life that I have, in this year, this is what the person was saying. So it's kind of like leaving behind some time capsules, and leaving behind journal entries, or leaving behind kind of, one straight line. And you will see that you always change in that line. I recently read on Insta by this poet, universe is uni one and verse poem, so one poem. And that really speaks to me, because I've come to think of life as whatever happens is meant to happen, because it happened. We just move on. We just figure out what's the next best thing to do. So if we think of our life as this timeline, and then if you choose this direction or this decision, you could have gone this way, but you end up going that way. So we all know this idea of different, what do they call it in Avengers? Like different timelines. I think that's what I'm trying to say. But then what is true for me, what is my universe, is basically all the actions I've taken in the past, and all the actions I will take in the present, and all the actions I'll take in the future. So what happens in the past has already happened, and that becomes my story. But I can learn from it. I can understand the patterns. Like basically what is ChatGPT at the end of the day? What is AI? It is learning from what has been fed into it. And our brains are not very different. We learn from our past. We learn from explicitly, like the experiences. We really, those shape us from the moment we are born to this present moment. Everything that has happened to you, every person you have met has shaped you. So what I'm trying to say is that this one line is unique to all of us, and this becomes our universe. So by leaving these journal entries in different parts of your real world and in the online world, I think we can kind of start curating our own and start owning our own unique path and experiences. And And this is kind of what has always, I think, with social media, I journal. Most of the time, every time I'm sharing there is coming from my heart, and something I created in that moment. Doesn't matter what I was thinking. And sometimes I do question, like, maybe it was a bit cringe, or maybe people would judge me. But then at the end of the day, no one is thinking about you as much as you're thinking about yourself. So even I don't sometimes think about myself as much, because you forget who you were yesterday. So sometimes it's okay if, even if it was cringe. Sometimes it's okay even if you tried something and you put out there and it wasn't liked by a lot of people, and maybe it was liked by a lot of people. Like, it those metrics only matter like when we do choose to look at it, and it matters. But really, from this perspective of me owning my life and the experiences I have lived, and treating social media as just another way of me interacting with the outside world. And I'm someone who loves journaling since since I found it. I think even before I found yoga. So it's mirrored, which, yeah, sorry. It's confusing. Even before I found yoga, I think my journaling practice, and especially getting very organized and critical with this is how I'm going to spend my time, helped me be intentional and helped me be, for my distracted mind to be like, this is how we are going to focus on our goals. From there, I think I eventually had a routine where I could be consistent, was because of journaling. And then I found yoga, and then I could, all the things that happened in my life after. Um, so, yeah, so for someone who likes journaling, I think if we take that concept and apply to video journaling, Instagram, I don't know, in that moment, whatever you want to express to the outside world. And of course, when there's no expectation from the outside world and it's just for your pure self-expression, it can come as much as, as that's what they mean when they say be yourself. And then over time, if you do want a certain outcome, if you do want to grow on social media, if you want to use it for business, if you're an artist, if you are someone who is writing a book, or if you are someone who, you have whatever creative pursuits that you have, and you want to meet your people and find your community online, then you learn how those things work. Then you learn, because you're not now doing it just for yourself, but it is, how in game theory, these are different points. And you are interacting with more than one person, and you're interacting with all of this network of different people. And we do have to sometimes learn the rules of this game that we are that we are playing. And then how can we contribute, how can we learn, what can we do for the other people, what is it that kind of helps build those relationships, and not in the way this is what the world is. We are not meant to be alone. We are meant to kind of work with other people, serve other people. This is kind of why sometimes by doing something nice for the person makes you feel good without any gain. So I don't know. I hope that convinces you to also do journaling with whatever you have available, whether you are someone who likes writing on paper, whether you want to voice record yourself, whether you want to do video journaling. And you don't have to share it online, of course. Like, I want to share it online because I like connecting with people. And this is one of the ways I want to do my chai with a lot of my chicas that I don't get to meet, because we are in different parts of the world. And as much as I would love to fly to all the places when I do make money, it's still not possible. Like, I'm doing one small La Casa de Sahelia meetup here in Toronto. But it's like distances are still not close by, so it's hard to get to know people and meet people and have these conversations. And I miss it. It's something that in these travels that has made me realize I like kind of, this is me being a safe space to myself, but then I know my chicas are also my safe space. That's why I can express all of these things freely, because I know who I'm talking to. These are my chicas that I've talked to one-on-one so many times in the past few years. So And I know, like, every time I say something, I feel like, oh, this is what Alicia is going to say about this, or this is what Alina is going to think about it. Or even like today, I met Lauren. She has also been in This Is Shika's Only this entire time. And I didn't know anything about her, but somehow we both ended up in Toronto at the same time and decided to meet because I posted something about Toronto, and she's like, hey, I'm also here. And she's from Halifax. And we just ended up having the most amazing last 2 3 days together. Like, we met a couple of times. And like, I was telling her how I'm interested in the community aspect and my experiences while traveling, and what I see in Toronto, and how I'm kind of, now that I've found a home in myself, and I've asked myself very much in detail, what does it mean for me to have a home, to call a home, to call a place a home, to call a city a home. And when I left Canada and when I started traveling, partly it was more about, loving myself and then finding a home in myself. And then it was also about, if some place makes me feel at home, and that, we can get over the definition of what that means. But what is it? What are the qualities that are making me feel like, oh, I can, for example, I really loved Medellin. What was it about Medellin that really made me feel like this is a place I can call home? So that's like something I asked myself. And, after, and due to a lot of other reasons, I decided that it was time to close the loop, and I came back to Toronto. Not really sure what was waiting for me here. Even right now, I have no idea what is waiting for me here. But I had to come back for some reasons and to close this chapter that I was not fully closing since the last 6 years. That has to be kind of wrapped over and passed on, released to the world, same as art. So I had to come back here because I feel like I'm ready to start the new chapter of my life, and I can only do that when I kind of allow this one to pass through with ease and with peace. So, what was I saying? Um, so yeah, I have been. I think some of the questions I ask myself is like, what do I want to actually do in the world now? In these 2 years, I think one of the biggest things I have gained is the willingness to live and to be excited and have vigor and so much energy to do something for the society, for the world, and to live a peaceful life. I have no interest in going in the same 9 to 5 jobs that I was doing, and to just live an okay life while probably making a lot more money. But I've lived that life. I had everything. And, I don't really feel that the person I am today is even going to entertain that idea. And thankfully, I have a lot of skills and I know how to make money. I have lived on nothing before and I know how to do it. And I know what it takes to get there. So I think that expectation setting is, and having trust and belief in yourself is definitely so important in order to live this, live a life that may be different from the traditional life. Um, so some of the curiosities, and I think that's why whenever I talk here or when I meet people, these things come up, is one thing I've learned also in finding home within myself. It is not fully an individual's responsibility. It's also about the community, the environment around you, the world around you. Like, everything plays a part because, we have, as they say, microcosms and macrocosms. Like, we have our inner world, we have the world around us. Maybe we have a world with our family, and then maybe with, my neighborhood right now, and maybe with the outside world. So everything, all of these connections, they link. They are your happiness, your well-being, how your nervous system feels at home within itself, and with all these different interaction, it all makes a big difference. So that's something I've been very, very curious and interested in. And some of the things that I've learned on my travels, that I'm very grateful for those cultures and my childhood and the places where I come from. And I feel like mostly on these travels, a lot of those childhood memories started lightening up. Like they also started coming back to the surface and reminding me of what home and community used to be like before, when I was there, when I was a kid, when I was still learning about the world around me, and when my nervous system was still getting assimilated to everything around it. And of course, I had to relearn all the patterns, and my nervous system is, it's still adapting, but that is what they are. They are capable of adapting. And then, as the environment, because again, my friend sent me this picture, and I think I'm going to add here, of the nervous system with the eyes, and it's basically all the nerves going all around you. And she was saying that how it's actually funny that the name is nervous system, because it's, the eyes are looking everything around itself, and it is always nervous. And I think what I'm trying to get to is the world around us makes a difference in our mental health. The happiness of even the people around us, if you look at nature, it is, nature has its rhythm. There are seasons. There's a fall, winter, spring, summer. There are cycles of the moon. Even in a female body, like we go through these cycles, like our lives, the cities that we live in, and kind of this interaction between me and the other, it also has its own rhythm. That kind of, I feel, in the cities where I was traveling, that is something where you feel when you start understanding its rhythm and you start connecting, and your rhythm, your body's rhythm kind of connects to the rhythm of the city. And because it is the environment around you, it makes a lot of sense, because you are breathing and you're learning how to kind of breathe with the city, and becomes easier to live and for you to feel safe when you can predict what the rhythm of the city is. And I think something that I've learned now that I'm coming back here, and my body is in touch with what it feels like to be at home, and what a city should feel like. What for me, and it's personally, obviously, I'm not an expert, I'm just speaking from my personal experience of going on this search. When you come to a city, when you start to breathe with it, when you start to learn its rhythm, it makes a lot of difference in how safe you can feel in that city, because it's becomes familiar, and the different kind of understanding the culture, and that discussion in itself is so nuanced. I had written something about it that I can read at some point, but what I'm trying to say is that one of my curiosities is that, especially in these lands where, even I am a settler on this land, is it because kind of we have lost connection with the roots of the city, with the way this city used to breathe, with the way this city had its own rhythm. And now that, with the world we are living in right now, things have changed. But now can we collectively come together, heal our hearts, kind of join hands together to find a new rhythm of this city, of any city, wherever you're watching this from? It doesn't really matter. It's like everyone has something unique to them where they feel at home within ourselves, but there is some common truth in how we relate to other people. And my planner friend that I met would basically, I'm pretty sure she will tell me this is what it means in the planning world, because everything I was telling her, and this is why the meeting with her was so magical. The girl I met from This Is Shika's only group, I was just talking about these things that I'm interested in, have people should get to meet each other outside without having to pay to go and sit at a cafe or something. And she was like, oh, do you know this is called third spaces in planning? And then there was something else. I was talking about this with them, and she starts saying that this is called, I think, sense making or something. And it was very funny talking to someone who is kind of like a domain person. And I'm coming in and I'm just like, this is how the world should be. And she's like, oh, but people have studied. That's why it's amazing talking to other humans. Like, please go out and make friends, because you're even if you just are someone right now who's just used to talking to ChatGPT, the more you talk, you become each other's echo chamber. So it's mostly going to mirror what you already know. But if you go and experience the world and talk to real humans and kind of allow for magic to happen to you, so your brain capacity, so what your awareness of the world expands. Because it's like, when you don't know a word, you don't know what it means. You don't know that meaning to exist. Like it hasn't existed in your world yet. So sometimes when you learn a different language, there's a word that exists in that language which doesn't exist in your own vocabulary. So you didn't even think there was some feeling like that would describe and would need a word. And I feel like sometimes talking to the people and when I learn about their worlds, and it's like sometimes I have never thought about it. I didn't even know this world existed. But allowing yourself for no gain, just go and talk to people about what they do. What is going on into their day-to-day life? What are they working on? What are they passionate about? I don't know. And the stories that come out of it, wonderful. Uh, and I didn't know she was in planning, and we ended up talking about this so much. And she is an alumni of Dalhousie University in Halifax, and she invited me to her alumni event yesterday. I ended up meeting the professor of the director of planning. At Dalhousie University, and and I ended up meeting other people, and she also introduced me to some people on LinkedIn. Like all of this wouldn't have happened if I don't know, just randomly met someone who we connected with on social media. She has been following me for a year, and she offered to get me coffee on day one, and I was like, you don't have to. But she's like, oh, you have helped me so much, let me kind of give back to you. And I was like, I have never met this person before, but she's saying that I have somehow helped her because of the things I put out. And yes, you think right now the impact of your work online that you put out is just like based on the likes, comments, shares, because those are the external metrics. But those, something that, like I started dancing in my living room, someone saw it and they started dancing in their living room because they started seeing me do it, and it changed their life, and they kind of associated that with me. And I didn't even know that I had done something like that. And then we ended up having an amazing time, because turns out people who follow you on Instagram algorithm really brings you to good, like-minded people, because everyone I have met through on my social media has been an amazing person, and I love them so much, and it has kind of enriched my life in so many ways, because we find something similar to talk about, but then there are other aspects of their life which are so different and so unique, and it enriches my own life because it widens my knowledge about the universe, about the world. So like our inner worlds kind of come together, and there's something that she taught me and something that we passed on to each other. There's another thing that we did. um, and I don't know if I took a picture of it, but I used to have I used to have a hobby basket at home here, which over time I would get a lot of different hobbies that I would be interested in, and I would get bored, and I would, maybe I would have 3 days of hyper focus, and I would do it so intense, like nothing else would happen. And I'm sure a lot of you have similar experiences. And then after 3 days, I would just be bored of it and then pick something else. So that's why, like with me, finally finding and sticking with journaling, yoga, calligraphy, and this kind of art making has been a blessing, because I never stick with anything. But I did start embroidery, and I got embroidery kits, and I did, I think, a small portion of it. And it was just lying here, and I was thinking about, I have a lot of other hobbies, hobby kits that I have collected over time. I call it my hobby graveyard basket. And so I came up with this idea, kind of like, how about whenever I meet a chica of mine, I just pass on a past hobby that I had, like a creative project I had started, and I pass it on to them, and it kind of becomes their new shiny object. And maybe they do a bit of it, and then they pass it on to someone else. And if they want to finish it all, they finish it all. But if they want to just pass it on to, and it keeps on passing on, and maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 people end up working on it, and it becomes a collective art project in some way, I think that would be really cool. And it would make me feel less anxious about starting new hobbies. But if we can just, kind of like a library of hobby projects, ADHD projects that we have. Okay, let's think this through. For example, I have this project that I started, okay? And let's say I leave it just at this, and I have 10 different projects that I have started but haven't been finished. But then maybe there's a place where we can all come together and place our unfinished projects, and like a library card or something, and who started, when did they left off, and then the other person comes and chooses from like which new project they want to start, because they're bored and they want a new shiny object for whatever, for their hyper focus, and they pick that and then they return it. Or maybe it could also be just going to girlfriend, but it could also be in one place. I think that would be a really cute idea, and something that a lot of us, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, 9 out of 10 people watching this have projects that they have started but never finished. And it would be nice if, especially things like this, if I could finish it all by myself. But this is my hobby. And I think it really, something that a lot of us struggle with is, trying to not monetize our hobbies, because that kind of takes away the joy and the reason and the point of having a hobby. Like, once you become a yoga teacher, you stop doing your personal practice because it becomes a teaching thing, and that's also not good. So I had to really, really stop everything and connect back to my personal practice to start loving yoga again. So I think it's the same with hobbies, and that's why I think some things I just want to keep. Like, even with my hobbies, I have the kind of relationship where this is for a particular reason. Like, I love giving massages, but that's not something I ever want to monetize. I don't know if ever is at this point on July 9th, 2:21 p.m. Eastern time zone. But it's something that I pass on to other people, kind of like something I give from my heart. And it's something I've been doing all of my travels, to my girlfriends and also to some chicos, like, something that I just want to be like, oh, I do love you in whatever capacity, and I want to pass on this love somehow. So I offer it in the form of massages, like face massage, head massage, and whatever I feel like that this person needs at this moment. And it has been really wonderful to, of course I have learned it and I've paid to learn it, but by choosing to keep some skill, something that my hand creates, and choosing to keep it as an act of service that I want to offer to someone, but without putting a value, without putting a cost on it. I think that has really kind of, every time I do it and I do not charge for it, it does something to me. It literally, I feel like it changes my brain chemistry bit by bit, because the connection I feel, the connection I make, and the conversations we have when you kind of are in that zone. And I feel like anyone who's watching this, if you ever received a massage from me, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this concept that I'm sharing, but I feel like all of us should have some services that we want to offer to someone as an act of love, and just keep it at that, where if you just observe yourself. If you do not put a price on some offering that you're giving to someone, how does it make you feel expanded? How does it make you feel open? And does it do something to you? And at the end of the day, everything I'm doing has been an experiment on myself. And some of the experiments have passed, and some of the experiments have been like, what, I don't really like how the outcome is, so I'm going to move on with my life and try something else. So I feel everyone should have one of those things. And have so anyway, hobby, graveyard, library for different hobbies, so we can take each other's projects. I think that would be a cool idea. I have talked a lot today, so I'm going to end this chai for now, and let's hope we can meet each other soon again. Okay.